Okay.
Mm.
Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Jeannette, also known as Ms.FitVegan. And today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Tumi Johnson. First of all, how are you doing today, Tumi?
I'm so great. I'm excited to gather with you.
Yes, I'm a big fan. I've been watching you for a while. I love what you do. I love that you are just using your gifts and talents to heal people,
Mm.
which I think that's why we're all here. And I love that you stepped into your greatness to do that. And so I would love for my audience to just get to know you a little bit. Can you please tell us how long? I know you went vegan at a very young age, I think around 12 years old, right?
I went pescatarian,
Oh,
and
yes,
that was a
yes.
huge, yeah.
So, can you tell everyone a little bit of your story, how you came to the living foods lifestyle?
Yes. Thank you, Jeanette. So yeah, I was so the first 12 years of my life were in Nigeria. And basically around that age, I was not helping so much around the house with making food. And one day I realized the chicken that was on our plate came from the chicken in the backyard being killed. And I heard the chicken scream. And I was like, I don't want any part to do with that. I don't want anything to do with that. I was around 12. And I think it took me a year to just really cement that, and then no more meat. So no more, and everything except for fish and dairy I had, because I didn't know yet the cruelty around the fish industry also in dairy till much later. So I thought I was being healthy. I was pescatarian for years. Uh, Went into university, went into dance, into medical school. And so I started as dancing. I've always been dancing, but really started getting training around 17. And I was dancing and doing medical school and thinking I was healthy, but having a whole host of issues, um, which I talk about in my book, Delicious Healing, including bad eczema, severe lifelong asthma, increasing depression, and disordered eating behavior. That was really bad. That peaked around the time of my parents' divorce, but just was so persistent. Like it felt like a grip on me, like food addiction and using food to numb. And so I was a sick medical student, thinking I was okay. And to everyone's eyes, I was fine. And then I end up in the hospital bed after a suicide attempt in medical school. And when you hit rock bottom, I think the one beauty of that is like you release all pretenses. And I knew that hospital bed, I talk about it in my book, Delicious Healing. It's the
I'll
first
leave the
poem.
link below. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to get this book.
I have the first poem that I write is called Renaissance. So Delicious Healing is a blend of my poetry, my dance, a memoir, as well as holistic tips for living your best, most delicious life. And it starts with me being in that hospital bed. And I have this line about lying in the hospital bed, and a woman shows up at my bed, and it's a vision basically of my future self. And she's telling me, wear more color. And she's saying, she smiled, she was beautiful. The girl began to cry, and the girl is me. And I say, to live this life feels harder than to die. I think there's something wrong with my brain. And she says, it's true, you're different, strange, it's plain. And I say, I have no idea what to do. And she said, do whatever works for you. And I say, I've tried prayer, yoga, I drink green tea, stay in Bhujangasana longer than you care to be, pray for what you truly desire, and wear color, it will keep your soul afire.
Ooh.
That was the moment I said, I'm not going to live this life unless I live it authentically and as who I truly am. And that was the beginning of my healing. And I didn't get to raw food till a few years later, but I think that was when I dropped all pretenses and started moving to the direction of my desire, dancing more, putting out my poetry, refusing just to take the usual route of just doing, being a doctor and the regular route. I did do the regular route, but I did a lot of, what would you say, guerrilla things underneath. Like I would go to the Amazon and learn herbal medicine. I brought my yoga mat to my patients, things like that, to really to live as truthfully as I felt like I could. And then I went to go work after finishing my residency in internal medicine. I went to West Africa to work with children. I was a field physician for Doctors Without Borders. And so I did that for a year in the Sahel Desert, working literally with starving children, with kwashiorkor marasmus, who were dying. And I would dance every morning just to keep myself sane, and also to keep up my dance skills, because I was dancing in a company in New York City at the time. And I wanted to come back and be able to get back to it. But I realized that the dancing kept me alive, and then bringing the dance to the children and to their mothers really helped. But there were so many lessons, but one of the lessons I saw there, Jeannette, was food as medicine, which was something I never thought or heard about in medical school, ironically. Like,
I was going to ask you, did you get any nutrition training in
it
medical
was
school?
it's still one of the top medical schools I went to in the States. And I think I had maybe 30 minutes of nutrition. Pharmacology, definitely, knowing all the drugs, how they worked, and let me be very clear. I got incredible training in knowing anatomy inside out, in physiology, in pathophysiology, at least the Western idea of pathophysiology. But nutrition, which now is the base of the practice I do with my one-on-one patients and clients, like abysmally little. And working with those children, I got to see firsthand, children with sunken cheekbones dying. You got out of the body's way, you gave them their nutrition, the nutrition they needed, and they just blossomed. And so it was so clear. And I came back to New York City, and I took a look at my own life and my own diet, and I realized things need to get cleaned up. And so I just dove into, I've always loved learning. I'm a nerd that way. And I dove into the nutrition research, everything that was being studied, everything that was in journals. Then I went beyond the journals to old books, things like The Grape Cure, all the old books and the journals, because even in the Western journals, there are as evidence of nutrition being healing. The work of Dean Ornish, the work of Caldwell Esselstyn. There's so many greats out there who have been showing food reversing, not just preventing, reversing chronic illnesses like heart disease and cancer and diabetes. Neil Barnard. So I couldn't be silent. Well, first I changed my diet. So I went, Jeannette, I think it was the same time you went raw, actually. I went into vegan, whole food vegan, very clear, reading, and then raw, clear, went red. And I went to the first Woodstock Fruit Festival, met Doug, read 80,
in 2011?
11.
Yes.
Went
Okay.
to Woodstock, got 80-10-10. I think I read it over 2 nights, it's a thick book. I was so, because it just brought together everything else I was already reading, and it just resonated on such a deep level. I've always been, in my book, I talk about this simplicity and voluntary simplicity. And for me, simplicity is the ultimate sexiness. And 80-10-10 is it's so simple. It's not that complicated, and there's something so liberating about that. So I went raw in Woodstock and never looked back. So I went from pescatarian to raw vegan. That's what happened.
Wow. Okay. So it's been about 12 and a half years for you.
Yes. 12 years this summer.
The same as me. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And okay. Wow. So, you're a very rare being, because I was going to say species, because like you're a medical doctor and, like living this healthy lifestyle, which it doesn't really go together in our society, and then you were sick as a student in medical school. And I'm sure people didn't really know how to help you, really, truly. And so, wow, what are some of for the last 12 years, eating a healthy vegan lifestyle, what are some lessons that you've learned? Because I'm sure it's evolved over time. Yes. How have you stayed on this lifestyle? And what are some of your biggest lessons as far as eating a healthy living food lifestyle?
I love that question. I think one thing, I'm just not in any order, one thing that just comes right through is I am the mama of this beautiful, strong, powerful, amazing 3.5-year-old boy. And he grew in my belly for 10 months. It's not 9, it's 10. And on raw foods, and free birthed him at home with just me and his papa and him. And it was an orgasmic, ecstatic 3-day birthing process. It wasn't 30 minutes because they'll tell you eat raw, you push it out. Nah, I needed my body, my soul needed a 3-day journey, maybe to let me know that I could do anything. Literally, women are incredible. And but it was ecstatic, orgasmic. It was liberating. It was healing. And I just say that because there's sometimes so much doubt around raw or living foods, healthy living foods. And on a fruit-based raw diet, birthing this healthy child, and I'm still breastfeeding him and still on this diet, no problems. He's super healthy. I remained healthy. I just want to start with that because I feel like it can help to just maybe calm or reassure people of, I get so many questions from patients and clients, is it nutritious enough? Which is ironic to me because what people are eating is not. So when people ask me like, are you going to get enough vitamins and minerals from like fruits and vegetables? I think, really? So
yeah, thank you. I don't want to interrupt you, but thank you for bringing that up because to me, I know you can relate to me in this. Like people are so concerned about my health when I started eating the healthiest foods on earth. You're a very smart woman, obviously. Can you help me psychologically break that down? Why is society so scared of people that eat healthy foods?
Because it's a revolution. Because it would completely upend a lot of the values of regular society, which are based on lack mentality, greed, fear. The fruit-based living foods plant lifestyle is the opposite of that. It's mired in love and abundance and peace. It would be a revolution. It is it's happening. It's a revolution that's happening. So that's why, because on an egoic level, they're like, we can't have that. Like we have to fight you.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And my question, you got my question, but what I meant was, why are people so scared when you start eating healthy? Like, yeah, that's it, because it's not normal in our society. It's a strange